Mike Wallace, 65, was prepared to make history as one of NASCAR's oldest Daytona 500 contenders, armed with a winning record, a tough training routine, and a deeply personal goal to commemorate his late wife. But just as the stage was set for a triumphant return to racing's grandest stage, a devastating phone call shattered it all. Wallace was abruptly denied the opportunity to compete, a decision that stunned the racing community and sparked a firestorm of debate about fairness, legacy, and the sport's future. And of course, he had to respond to NASCAR's actions. Wallace has won a combined 9 races in the NASCAR Xfinity Series and the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Notably, 2 of these triumphs came at the legendary Daytona International Speedway, showcasing his ability on one of NASCAR's most difficult and prestigious courses. His expertise and performance at Daytona make his probable return to the Daytona 500 all the more enticing. The stage was set for what many saw to be NASCAR's ultimate Cinderella story. Wallace was scheduled to drive the number 66 MBM Motorsports car in the 2025 Daytona 500. At 65 years old, he was on the verge of becoming the second oldest driver to start the race, a feat that would have piqued the interest of racing fans nationwide. However, on a Monday afternoon, Wallace received a phone call that changed everything. In an exclusive interview with Racing America, Wallace recounted the moment. "I get a call at 4 p.m. telling me that I was not approved to run the Daytona 500, and not just not approved to run the Daytona 500, but I wasn't approved to run any NASCAR Cup race this year, or Xfinity race or truck race." The news hit Wallace like a shock. He didn't hold back when expressing his reaction. "Well, I think it's past heartbreaking. It's devastating. It's because I did what I knew or thought was appropriate in getting the proper clearances and everything. The circumstances behind this decision make it all the more startling." Wallace had been working hard to get approval for his Daytona 500 attempt since late December. He provided a detailed account of his efforts. These conversations about this started on December 22nd with the upper management of NASCAR, and I was assured everything was fine, and to get prolonged and stretched out, and then as recent as last Thursday, be reconfirmed verbally on the phone that everything was fine. Wallace was taken aback by the abrupt reversal and began to question the method itself. He stated his confusion and frustration. When you have staff members telling you they're happy for you and excited for you from the organization, there's a huge disconnect somewhere. To completely comprehend the significance of this choice, it is necessary to grasp the scope of Wallace's preparations for his comeback. He had gone on a strenuous physical training regimen, losing weight and working out every day to guarantee he was in peak condition for the demanding race. Wallace focused not just on his physical condition, but also on meeting NASCAR's safety criteria. Wallace detailed his commitment to being race-ready. "I had already, throughout the year, lost some weight. I went up to the gym and started working on a daily routine. I'm pretty damn tough right now, to be honest with you. My mental sharpness is there. I went over to the Charlotte Motor Speedway 2 weekends ago on Sunday. I had a 10:30 a.m. appointment, per NASCAR's requirements, to do the health fair, and did the drug test, did the eye test, and did the physical test." His commitment to safety even included consenting to wear a special data-gathering mouthpiece during practice sessions. This device may have revealed important information about what happens in a driver's mouth during a race. Wallace emphasized his total commitment. "I even volunteered to have my mouth scanned. I have the new mouth guard with the sensors in them that you would wear during the race. I committed to wearing them only during practice, but they gain data over a driver. What's happening in a driver's mouth during the race? You know, I was all in. All in." The financial investment was also enormous. Wallace spent $2,000 on a bespoke seat mold to assure a flawless fit in the #66 MBM Motorsports Ford Mustang. He also bought a new helmet and fire suit to meet the latest safety rules for the 2025 NASCAR season. All of these investments appear to have been for naught. Wallace saw this race as more than just a return to the track or a financial investment. It was also very personal. The 2025 Daytona 500 intended to honor his late wife, Carla, who died the previous year following a protracted fight with ovarian cancer. He said, "This race was not just about me. The Daytona 500 was not just about Mike Wallace. It was about my family, my kids, my grandkids. Today, it was going to be a race that I honored my wife, Carla, who passed away a year ago. January 22nd will be a year ago. We have some cool pictures hanging around our house in the basement of her and me in Victory Lane. whether it was Daytona or Talladega. She always loved going to those places. It was more of a storyline, and it was more of a, I kind of had the belief that, for some reason, this opportunity was dropped on me to do this race. The decision has far-reaching consequences for Wallace as well as MBM Motorsports. Wallace is highly concerned about the team's current situation, which includes the lack of a driver or sponsor for the Daytona 500. He expressed his concern for the team. Yeah, I mean, my side of it is one thing, and I'm sincere about this. I'm more concerned for Carl and his organization, MBM Motorsports. Look, back in December, they had a driver, they had a sponsor, and now, the first part of January, the second week of January, they have neither. Wallace continued, and if this approval process is as challenging as they made it look to me, who knows who they're going to put in the car, or who can get in the car. I sincerely hope that his race team can find a driver that is approved, and they can find funding, that they can go and try to take all of the effort that has been put forth so far and continue to capitalize on it and get themselves into the Daytona 500. For them, I'll do everything I can to help them. The issue over NASCAR's decision has spurred passionate debate in the racing community. Many fans and drivers have pointed out what they see as irregularities in NASCAR's approval procedure. The most notable example is Helio Castroneves, a four-time Indianapolis 500 winner who has been awarded an open exemption provisional for the 2025 Daytona 500 despite never having competed in a NASCAR Cup race. Wallace is well aware of this difference. He pointed out the apparent contradiction. All I wanted to do was attempt to qualify for the Daytona 500 with the hopes of making the Daytona 500, right? I wanted the opportunity to attempt to qualify for the Daytona 500, and they canceled that. They canceled me, is what they did. They canceled me. That 23-year-old story about people getting canceled? Well, they canceled Mike Wallace in the same breath they gave another person an honorary starting position in the Daytona 500. Guaranteed. Never been in one of these cars in their life. Incredible person with incredible talent, but created an all-new provisional. The comparison between Wallace and Castroneves is especially obvious. Castroneves, like Wallace, has never competed with a NASCAR next-gen car. Unlike Wallace, Castroneves has never raced in a NASCAR National Series event. Nonetheless, Castroneves has been approved for the Daytona 500 and has a guaranteed position in the field to fall back on, regardless of how he does in qualifying and the dual qualification races. NASCAR's justification for withholding Wallace's eligibility is based on his lack of recent racing involvement, namely on intermediate and larger courses since 2015. According to a NASCAR representative, Wallace has not raced on an intermediate or larger racetrack since 2015, which is why he was rejected for Daytona consideration. The sanctioning body also emphasized Wallace's lack of experience with the NASCAR next-gen vehicle, which debuted in 2022. Elton Sawyer informed Mike that, "Mike, because of your inactivity, you haven't done any racing in 5 years. So, listen, all I could do is be a supportive brother." I told Mike, "Listen, keep your head up high. I do feel bad for Mike. Mike is embarrassed, and so, yeah, what a bummer." However, these answers have done nothing to soothe the debate, especially in light of other recent cases of senior drivers making comebacks. For example, NASCAR allowed Morgan Shepherd to compete in the Daytona 500 at the age of 72 in 2014. Similarly, Derek Cope qualified for the 2021 event at the age of 62, 3 years after his most recent NASCAR appearance. The case of Derek Cope is especially noteworthy. Cope's performance at Daytona in 2021 was underwhelming, with the 62-year-old finishing 40th after only 3 laps. Furthermore, a semi-viral video of Cope nearly wrecking the entire field in the second dual race aroused safety worries among fans about putting drivers back on the track after years of inactivity. These precedents have caused many to doubt the consistency of NASCAR's eligibility requirements. Some members of the online NASCAR community believe NASCAR is setting a precedent with this action. Based on Wallace's example, they believe that if a driver like Jeff Gordon, who has not competed in the 500 since 2015, wanted to enter in 2026, he should be denied the opportunity.